Meghan Markle never imagined an old business partnership would return to dominate the headlines. But that's exactly what's happening after royal author Tom Bower shared fresh criticism surrounding Meghan's media career, with many commentators once again pointing to her and Prince Harry's high-profile partnership with Spotify. Before we go any further, it's important to separate confirmed facts from commentary. Spotify and Markle Audio ended their podcast partnership in 2023, and executives from both sides publicly acknowledged the split. However, there has been no official evidence that Meghan collapsed, nor has Tom Bower revealed a newly confirmed secret that Spotify never forgot. Those dramatic claims largely come from opinion pieces, commentary, and social media speculation rather than verified official statements. Even so, the story has exploded across the internet. Why are royal commentators bringing up the Spotify deal again years later? Why are Tom Bower's latest remarks attracting so much attention? And why do many analysts believe the end of that partnership continues to influence public discussions about Harry and Meghan's post-royal career? Some commentators argue the Spotify chapter remains an important moment in the Sussexes' media journey. Others believe critics continue revisiting the story because it fits a broader debate about expectations, public image, and the challenges of building an independent brand after stepping away from royal duties. So what actually happened between Spotify and Harry and Meghan? What has Tom Bower been saying? And why has this business story once again become one of the biggest royal family discussions online? Stay with us, because we're separating verified facts from public commentary, examining why the Spotify partnership continues making headlines, and exploring why this latest debate has once again placed Meghan Markle at the center of worldwide attention. Meghan Markle thought the Spotify chapter was over. The partnership had ended, official statements had been released, and both sides had moved on to new projects. But now, fresh comments from royal biographer Tom Bower have brought the story back into the spotlight, reigniting one of the biggest debates surrounding Harry and Meghan's post-royal career. Before we continue, it's important to separate confirmed facts from public commentary. It is publicly confirmed that Spotify and Markle Audio ended their podcast partnership in 2023 after releasing Meghan's podcast series Archetypes. However, there is no official evidence that Meghan collapsed after Tom Bower's comments, or that he revealed a newly confirmed secret about Spotify. Much of the current discussion reflects opinion, media analysis, and commentary rather than verified new developments. Even so, the reaction was immediate. Within hours of Bower's latest interview being discussed online, social media platforms were flooded with videos, opinion pieces, and reaction posts. Some commentators argued that the Spotify partnership continues shaping public perception of Harry and Meghan's media ambitions. Others believed critics have simply continued revisiting the same story because it generates enormous public interest. That difference in opinion quickly divided audiences. Royal experts pointed out that when Harry and Meghan stepped back from official royal duties, they announced their intention to build independent careers focused on media, philanthropy, and public advocacy. The Spotify partnership became one of the first major agreements connected to that new direction. Naturally, expectations were extremely high. Meghan's podcast, Archetypes, featured conversations with well-known guests and explored topics relating to women's experiences, stereotypes, and public life. The series attracted significant attention and received industry recognition. However, after the partnership concluded, media coverage shifted from discussing the podcast itself to debating why the business relationship had ended. That conversation has never completely disappeared. Tom Bower's latest remarks brought those discussions back into public view. Known for his critical commentary on Harry and Meghan, Bower argued that the Spotify partnership remains an important example when evaluating the couple's transition from royal life into independent media ventures. Supporters strongly disagreed. Many argued that business partnerships naturally begin and end across the entertainment industry, and that concluding one agreement should not define an entire career. Others noted that Harry and Meghan have continued pursuing additional projects through other organizations while expanding their charitable initiatives. Those contrasting viewpoints quickly fueled another round of online debate. Meanwhile, experienced royal correspondents reminded viewers of an important distinction. Tom Bower's opinions represent his personal analysis. They do not represent official statements from Spotify, Archewell, Buckingham Palace, or the Sussexes. That clarification became especially important as dramatic headlines spread across social media. Several viral posts suggested that Bower had revealed major new information. However, many journalists noted that his latest comments largely reflected his interpretation of publicly known events rather than previously undisclosed evidence. Even so, the story continued growing. Why? Because the Spotify partnership has become symbolic of something much larger. To many observers, it represents the enormous expectations Harry and Meghan faced after choosing an independent life outside the royal family. Every new business deal, every public project, every media partnership, every charitable initiative, each has been examined not only on its own merits, but also as part of the broader story surrounding the Sussexes' post-royal journey. That level of scrutiny is unusual. Few public figures experience every professional decision becoming part of an international conversation. By the end of the week, one conclusion had become increasingly clear. Tom Bower's latest comments had done more than revive discussion about Spotify. They had reopened a much broader debate about public expectations, media success, and how Harry and Meghan's independent careers continue being judged years after they left official royal duties. And according to many royal commentators, the biggest questions surrounding that journey were still waiting to be answered. Tom Bower's latest comments didn't create the Spotify story, they brought it back into public conversation. Within hours, television panels, royal YouTube channels, newspaper opinion columns, and social media platforms were once again debating one of the most discussed chapters of Harry and Meghan's post-royal journey. The question everyone seemed to be asking was simple. Why are people still talking about Spotify years after the partnership ended? Before going further, it's important to separate confirmed facts from public commentary. It is publicly known that Spotify and Archewell Audio ended their partnership in 2023. Beyond that, many recent headlines are based on opinion and analysis rather than newly confirmed information. There has been no official statement from Spotify saying it has never forgotten Meghan, nor has Tom Bower presented any newly verified evidence changing the public record. Even so, the debate spread rapidly. Some commentators argued that the Spotify partnership became one of the biggest symbols of Harry and Meghan's transition away from royal life. When the couple stepped back from official duties, they promised to build independent careers focused on media, philanthropy, and storytelling. Because of that, every major business agreement attracted extraordinary attention. The Spotify partnership was one of the first. Naturally, expectations were enormous. Royal commentators pointed out that whenever expectations are unusually high, public discussion often continues long after a project ends. Supporters of Meghan viewed the situation differently. They argued that ending one business partnership is common throughout the entertainment industry and should not define someone's professional career. Many successful producers, actors, writers, and broadcasters have experienced projects ending before moving on to new opportunities. From that perspective, they believe too much attention continues to be placed on one chapter instead of the broader picture. Others disagreed. Some commentators argued that because Harry and Meghan's media deals attracted worldwide publicity from the beginning, public evaluation of those partnerships was always likely to remain intense. That difference in opinion quickly fueled another online debate. Meanwhile, experienced royal correspondents reminded audiences that Tom Bower's observations represent his personal assessment, not official conclusions from Spotify or the Sussexes. That distinction became increasingly important. Several dramatic headlines suggested Bauer had revealed entirely new information. However, many journalists explained that his latest remarks largely reflected his interpretation of publicly known events rather than previously undisclosed evidence. Another fascinating trend also emerged. Instead of focusing solely on Spotify, many commentators began discussing Harry and Meghan's broader post-royal careers. Since leaving official royal duties, the couple has pursued charitable initiatives, documentaries, speaking engagements, publishing projects, and other media ventures. Supporters believe those activities demonstrate continued public influence. Critics argue that each new project naturally invites comparison with the expectations established when the couple first announced their independent future. Neither side fully agreed, but both acknowledged one reality. Harry and Meghan remain among the world's most closely watched public figures. Every professional decision, every interview, every partnership, every public appearance, each one quickly becomes international news. That level of attention explains why older stories often return to the headlines whenever new commentary emerges. As the debate continued, Harry and Meghan made no public response to Tom Bauer's latest remarks. Spotify likewise issued no new statement regarding the renewed discussion. That silence allowed commentators to continue offering different interpretations. Some believed the story reflected ongoing public interest in the Sussexes' business journey. Others suggested the media simply revisits familiar topics because audiences continue clicking on them. Whatever the explanation, one thing became increasingly clear. Tom Bauer's latest comments had revived far more than one business story. They had reopened a worldwide discussion about expectations, public image, media success, and the continuing fascination surrounding Harry and Meghan's life after stepping away from the royal family. And according to many royal observers, the conversation was only becoming more intense. Meghan Markle hasn't responded to Tom Bauer's latest comments. Spotify hasn't issued a new statement. Prince Harry has remained focused on his own projects. Yet despite the silence from every side, the conversation has only continued to grow. Why? Because this story has become about far more than one business partnership. It has become another debate about expectations, public image, and Harry and Meghan's life after leaving the royal family. Royal commentators quickly shifted their focus away from Spotify itself and began asking a broader question. Have Harry and Meghan faced higher expectations than almost any other public figures in recent years? Many analysts believe the answer is yes. When the couple stepped back from official royal duties, they announced their intention to build independent careers while continuing charitable work and public advocacy. That decision immediately attracted worldwide attention. Every project, every interview, every documentary, every business agreement, each one has been examined in extraordinary detail. Supporters argue that few public figures have faced that level of constant scrutiny. Critics respond that extraordinary public attention naturally follows extraordinary public figures. Neither side fully agrees. But everyone acknowledges one fact. Harry and Meghan remain among the most closely watched personalities in the world. Another interesting trend also appeared during the latest debate. Several commentators suggested that the Spotify partnership has become symbolic rather than simply commercial. To supporters, it represents an ambitious attempt to create independent media content. To critics, it represents a project that did not fully meet the expectations surrounding it. Those two interpretations continue shaping public discussion years later. Meanwhile, experienced royal correspondents reminded audiences of another important distinction. Tom Bauer's opinions are exactly that, opinions. They should not be confused with official statements from Spotify, Archewell, or Buckingham Palace. Several journalists also pointed out that many dramatic online headlines often exaggerate opinion into apparent fact. Responsible reporting requires keeping those categories separate. As social media debates intensified, another fascinating question emerged. Can one business partnership define an entire career? Some analysts argued absolutely not. They pointed out that careers in entertainment, media, and publishing naturally involve successes, setbacks, and changing partnerships over time. Others believe the Spotify story continues attracting attention because it was one of the Sussexes' earliest and most public business ventures after stepping away from royal duties. That context makes it historically significant, even if opinions differ regarding its outcome. At the same time, Harry and Meghan have continued expanding other professional and charitable initiatives. Supporters argue those efforts demonstrate that the couple has remained active despite ongoing criticism. Critics believe each new project continues inviting comparison with the enormous expectations established several years ago. Again, neither perspective has become universally accepted. Royal historians also offered valuable perspective. They noted that members of the royal family, who pursue independent careers, have often faced unusually intense public scrutiny. Because of Harry's unique position as the son of King Charles, comparisons between his private ventures and official royal work are almost inevitable. That helps explain why stories connected to Harry and Meghan frequently become larger than the original business news itself. By now, the discussion had clearly moved beyond Spotify. It had become another international conversation about reputation, media expectations, public perception, and the continuing evolution of Harry and Meghan's post-royal life. Whether audiences agreed with Tom Bower's assessment or rejected it completely, millions continued following the story for one reason. They wanted to know what comes next. And with Harry and Meghan continuing new projects, while the royal family enters another important chapter under King Charles, many commentators believe this debate is far from over. Because in the world of the modern monarchy, today's business story often becomes tomorrow's royal headline. Meghan Markle has continued moving forward with new projects. Prince Harry has remained focused on charitable initiatives. The royal family has carried on with official engagements. Yet despite everyone moving ahead, one business partnership from the past continues finding its way back into today's headlines. Why? According to many royal commentators, the answer has less to do with Spotify itself and more to do with the enormous expectations that surrounded Harry and Meghan after stepping away from royal duties. Before we continue, it's important to repeat one key point. Spotify and Artsual Audio publicly ended their partnership in 2023. However, there has been no official statement confirming that Meghan was personally devastated by Tom Bower's latest remarks, or that Spotify has recently made any new comments about the Sussexes. Much of the current discussion is based on opinion, commentary, and media analysis rather than newly verified developments. That distinction matters. Even so, the story has once again captured worldwide attention. Royal experts believe one reason is that Harry and Meghan's post-royal journey has become one of the most closely followed career transitions in recent history. Every documentary, every podcast, every book, every interview, every new partnership, each has been analyzed not only as a business project, but also as part of the couple's broader decision to build an independent life outside the royal family. That level of scrutiny is extraordinary. Few public figures experience every professional move becoming international news. Another interesting discussion also emerged. Can public expectations become impossible to satisfy? Some commentators believe Harry and Meghan entered the entertainment industry carrying expectations unlike almost anyone else. Because of their global recognition, every project was expected to become a major success. Others argued that such expectations are simply part of being internationally known public figures. Supporters of Meghan pointed out that careers naturally evolve. Business partnerships begin. Business partnerships end. creative projects succeed in different ways. From their perspective, focusing repeatedly on one concluded partnership ignores the couple's continuing work in other areas. Critics disagreed. Some argued that the Spotify agreement remains an important benchmark because it was one of the Sussexes' earliest major commercial ventures after leaving official royal duties. That difference in interpretation continues driving much of today's discussion. Meanwhile, experienced royal correspondents reminded viewers that Tom Bower's observations remain his own analysis. They do not represent official statements from Spotify, Archewell, or Buckingham Palace. Several journalists also noted that social media often amplifies dramatic headlines while leaving out important context. Responsible reporting requires distinguishing verified developments from personal opinions. As the debate continued, another fascinating question emerged. How will history ultimately judge Harry and Meghan's post-royal careers? Some analysts believe it is far too early to reach conclusions. The couple continues developing new charitable initiatives, media projects, and business ventures. Future successes, or future challenges, may significantly change public perception over time. Others believe first impressions often remain influential, making early partnerships like Spotify an important part of the Sussexes' public story. Again, no single viewpoint has become universally accepted. King Charles and Prince William continued focusing on official royal responsibilities throughout the latest media cycle. Harry and Meghan likewise continued their own work without publicly responding to every new headline. That silence itself became another point of discussion. Some commentators interpreted it as confidence. Others viewed it simply as a decision to avoid extending another media debate. Without official statements, however, those interpretations remain opinions rather than established facts. By the end of the week, one conclusion appeared repeatedly across royal commentary. This was no longer simply a discussion about Spotify. It had become another worldwide conversation about reputation, public expectations, media narratives, and the continuing evolution of Harry and Meghan's independent careers. Whether viewers agreed with Tom Bower's assessment or strongly disagreed, millions remained interested because the broader story continues unfolding. And with new projects, future interviews, and additional public appearances expected in the months ahead, many royal observers believe today's Spotify debate may simply be another chapter in a much longer story that is still being written. The Spotify partnership may be over, but the conversation surrounding Harry and Meghan's independent careers is far from finished. As another wave of headlines begins to slow down, one thing has become increasingly clear. This story is no longer just about one media deal. It's about how Harry and Meghan's post-royal journey will ultimately be remembered. Before we continue, it's important to separate confirmed facts from public opinion. It is publicly confirmed that Spotify and Archewell Audio ended their partnership in 2023. However, there has been no official statement confirming the dramatic claims made in many online headlines, including suggestions that Meghan was personally devastated by Tom Bower's remarks, or that Spotify recently revealed new information about the partnership. Much of the discussion reflects commentary rather than newly verified developments. That distinction remains essential. Several experienced royal correspondents have reminded audiences that business partnerships naturally begin and end across the entertainment industry. What makes this situation different is the extraordinary level of public attention surrounding Harry and Meghan. Every agreement, every announcement, every interview, every new project. Each one is analyzed not only as a business decision, but also as another chapter in the couple's life after leaving official royal duties. That level of scrutiny is unusual. Royal historians pointed out that very few public figures transition from a constitutional role within one of the world's oldest monarchies into independent media careers under such intense global attention. As a result, almost every professional milestone becomes part of a much larger public conversation. Another fascinating question also emerged. How should success actually be measured? Some commentators believe individual business partnerships should be judged independently. Others argue that Harry and Meghan's entire post-royal career is often viewed as one continuous story, making each project influence public perception of the next. Supporters of Meghan believe the couple's charitable work, documentaries, publishing projects, and ongoing public initiatives demonstrate that their careers continue evolving beyond one concluded agreement. Critics maintain that high-profile partnerships naturally invite long-term evaluation because of the expectations created at the beginning. Neither perspective has become universally accepted. Meanwhile, King Charles and Prince William have continued focusing on official constitutional duties, while Harry and Meghan remain committed to their own charitable and professional work in the United States. Neither side has publicly engaged with every new opinion or headline. That silence itself has become part of the public discussion. Some analysts interpret it as a deliberate decision to stay focused on long-term priorities. Others simply note that responding to every media debate would be neither practical nor productive. Without official statements, however, those remain interpretations rather than confirmed explanations. Another important lesson also emerged from the latest discussion. Several journalists emphasized the importance of distinguishing between verified reporting, expert commentary, and social media speculation. Those three categories often become blurred online. A commentator's opinion can quickly become a viral headline. A dramatic headline can be mistaken for confirmed fact. That is why responsible reporting depends on checking official sources and understanding the context behind sensational claims. As another week of royal headlines comes to a close, one conclusion appears stronger than ever. The Spotify story has become symbolic of something much larger. Not simply one business partnership. Not simply one commentator's opinion. But the continuing public fascination with Harry and Meghan's attempt to build independent careers while remaining connected to one of the world's most famous families. Whether future projects reshape public opinion or reinforce existing views remains impossible to predict. Only time, and the success of future ventures, will determine how this chapter is ultimately remembered. Until then, every new interview, every business announcement, every charitable initiative, and every public appearance involving Harry and Meghan will continue attracting worldwide attention. Because in the story of the modern royal family, today's media debate often becomes tomorrow's headline, and millions of people will be watching to see what happens next. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think? Has the Spotify chapter been discussed fairly over the years? Or do you believe it's become a story that critics continue revisiting long after the partnership ended? And do you think Harry and Meghan's future projects will eventually change public perception? Or will the Spotify deal always remain part of the conversation? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. We read your comments every day, and many of your ideas help shape the topics we cover in future royal family videos. If you enjoyed this in-depth breakdown, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another update. We bring you the latest royal family news, expert commentary, balanced analysis, media reactions, and the biggest stories involving King Charles, Prince William, Princess Catherine, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie, Princess Lilibet, and the entire royal family. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video with another deep dive into the biggest stories making headlines around the world. Until next time, take care.